Hey everyone, so I've been gone for probably about 2 months now, and I'm really sorry for not updating and just in general not having the time. There's been a lot going on. I had a lot of family things to deal with kind of through mid-May and the beginning of June, and then I had a lot of events going on where I was going to conferences and weddings and throw some work in there and everything, so it's been a little crazy and a little hectic, and I just haven't really had the time, or more importantly had the energy to really commit to doing any videos for that time. And on top of everything that's been going on, my reading has actually slowed down quite a lot. I only read, between May and June, I only read 11 books. So instead of doing a recap video for each month, I'm just going to roll everything into one, and then hopefully things will be happening with a little bit more steady pace from now on. The first thing that I read back in May was Page by Page by Laura Lee Gallagher, which this is a really adorable little graphic novel about a girl who moves to a new high school and just kind of struggles with finding herself and fitting in with her classmates and stuff. It's a really cute little coming of age story. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't super exciting, but I could identify with Paige, the main character, and I thought it was quite a lovely little story. The next thing I read after that was Insurgent by Veronica Roth, which I've been eagerly waiting for so long and was very, very satisfied with. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, I think. No, 5 out of 5 stars. A lot of people who had a lot of complaints about this book, but I have to disagree with them, mostly based on the fact that the types of complaints I've been hearing are all things that are just identified with the second book in a trilogy or the second movie in a trilogy, where it's a lot of setup for the final book. So it's a lot of information and usually kind of a cliffhanger ending that doesn't really tie up all the loose ends, and these are things that are all just very important to a trilogy type story. So while I can understand why those things are frustrating, they're really necessary, and I'm not going to fault the book for them in this type of situation. After that, I started reading the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare, and I read City of Ashes, City of Glass, and City of Fallen Angels in the first one, City of Bones. I read all 4 of those in the month of May. Or I think I read the last one in the month of June. Either way. And I really enjoyed them. I do find them kind of frustrating. I really don't find Clary or Jace, the 2 main characters, to be particularly likable. So until the action really gets going in the story, I have a little bit of trouble making it through these books. So for that reason, I gave them a 3 out of 5 stars, although I do really enjoy the types of story and the dealings with the angels and the demons and all of that craziness. I particularly enjoy. I've always really liked the supernatural, and I think it's a really fun series. In the middle of all of that, I listened to the audiobook for The Book of Blood and Shadow by Robin Wasserman, mostly because I actually couldn't get my hands on the actual book. I didn't have the money to buy it at the time, and my library for some odd reason only has the audiobook, so I listened to that, which worked out because I had a long car trip to take, and I am absolutely in love with the story. I can't wait to read the actual book. It's kind of hard to explain, and I guess if you really wanted to, you could kind of compare it to like a young adult version of the Da Vinci Code. It's basically this great big, like, centuries-old mystery on top of a currently happening murder mystery, and it's just a very intriguing story. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The only thing that was a little bit difficult, and I think it had to do with the fact that I was listening to the audiobook, but some of the parts got kind of confusing and hard to follow, and I think it's just because I was listening instead of reading. I wasn't processing things the same way I would have normally. After I finished the Mortal Instruments series, I actually started on the Infernal Devices series, the Clockwork Angel and Clockwork Prince, and I really enjoyed both of these books. I actually am a much bigger fan of this series than the Mortal Instruments. They're both by Cassandra Clare, same author. I don't know if I said that before. I like the characters in the Infernal Device is a lot better. I absolutely love Tessa, and I find Will and Jem to be a lot more interesting than Jace. And I think the relationship or dynamics in this between the friendships of Will and Jace and them and Tessa is just really fantastic and a lot more interesting and a lot more complex than the ones that are happening in the Mortal Instruments. I also like that it's sort of a prequel, but not really, and there's kind of like this almost steampunk vibe to some of what's going on, but without being like full-on steampunk, which just kind of makes it really fun. After that, I read Kiss the Dead, which is the 21st book in the Anita Blake series by Laurel K. Hamilton. I ended up giving this one 3 out of 5 stars. I am usually a pretty big fan of Anita Blake, but I found this book a little frustrating. Hamilton kind of jumped pretty drastically between the scenes at home dealing with like the supernatural end of things and then the scenes of Anita at work dealing with the police work and everything. And even though the two stories have to do with each other, I don't think they were integrated very well, and a lot of things just seemed very abrupt, which was just a little frustrating to read. Although I did really like a lot of the scenes at home that dealt with Anita and her boyfriends and lovers and everything. I just found it very interesting. And that part was very satisfying, so that was nice. The last thing that I read in June was The Girl in the Steel Corset, which is the first book in the Steampunk Chronicles by Kelly Cross. I really liked this series, or this book, when it started. I really liked Finley, and especially in the companion novella, I really enjoyed her character, but so I kind of felt like a lot of the characters in The Girl with the Steel Corset were a little flat, and the storyline was just a little muddled at points, and it wasn't entirely clear what was going on, which can sometimes be a good thing, you know, add a little mystery, but in this situation I think mostly it was just kind of frustrating. I'm not actually sure if I'm going to pick the next book in this series up or not. I'm kind of leaning towards not at this point. It was pretty disappointing, and I don't really know if it's worth going through the trouble of finding the second book when it comes out. I ended up giving this one 3 out of 5 stars, so nothing too exciting, nothing real fantastic. So all in all, between May and June, I read 11 books, which brought me up to a total of 49 out of my 75 book goal, which is pretty good considering how much I slowed down. I'm still pretty satisfied with where I am right now. I'm still 10 books ahead, which puts me 12% ahead of schedule, which is awesome. I actually haven't read any new books in the month of July. I've been rereading a lot of old stuff that I just really like, which is fine, and I've been enjoying a lot just because I've been dealing with a lot of stuff lately, so it's kind of nice to have those familiar books to drop back to. So if you would like any further in-depth reviews of any of the books I talked about in this video, I know I went through them kind of fast and in a kind of jumbled up manner, just leave a comment and I will try to do a video about them. And yeah, that's about it. I think I'm gonna go because I have a couple other videos to do, which, yay, videos! I'm glad to be updating again. Hopefully I will stay better in touch this time. Bye!